You're probably scrolling through a dozen monitor recorder combos, wondering which one will actually stick around on set without turning your shoot into a headache. You want something reliable, easy to live with day after day, and worth the cash, not just a glossy spec sheet that sounds good in theory. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The biggest fear most of us have is ending up with a bright screen that drains the battery in 5 minutes, or a recorder that forces you into a workflow you never signed up for. That's why I spent a few afternoons hooking the Atomos Ninja TX bundle up to a mirrorless camera, testing it on a rooftop shoot, and scrolling through the comments of over 6,000 owners before I hit record. Let's start with the basics of what the bundle actually gives you. You get the 5-inch Ninja TX monitor, which peaks at 1,500 nits, a 2.5-inch SSD that slots right in, and a power adapter that can run off AC or of mount battery. The bundle part is what makes it interesting. Instead of buying a monitor, a recorder, and a drive separately, Atomos packages them together at a price that undercuts buying each piece individually. If you're a solo filmmaker who's been juggling a separate external SSD and a monitor that can't record, that saved time and cash is the first real value point. Who should buy it? If you shoot a lot of run-and-gun footage with a mirrorless or DSLR and you need to see what you're getting in real time, the Ninja TX is a solid match. The 1500 nit brightness means you can actually read exposure and focus details on a sunny rooftop or during a wedding ceremony with a lot of natural light. The built-in recorder lets you capture ProRes or DNx HD straight to the SSD, which is a huge confidence boost when you can't afford a corrupted card after a long day. For vloggers who travel light, the fact that the monitor also records means one less piece of gear in your bag. On the flip side, if your workflow already revolves around a higher-end recorder like the Atomos Shogun, or you're shooting in RAW 4K at 120 frames per second, the Ninja TX will feel a bit constrained. Its codec options stop at 1080p ProRes and DNx HD, so you'll be downsampling if you need RAW or high-resolution files. Also, if you're used to a built-in ND filter or a larger screen for color grading on the fly, you'll find the Ninja TX a little sparse. Those are the people who should probably skip this bundle and look at a more feature-rich solution. Now, let's talk about everyday usability. The first thing I noticed after mounting the Ninja TX on a Sony a7S II was how quickly it lit up. Even in direct sunlight, the screen stayed legible without any glare. The touchscreen is responsive enough for focus peaking and waveform checks, but it's not a full-size editing surface, so you won't be tweaking color grades on the monitor itself. That's fine for most shoots because you're mainly using it as a reference, not a workstation. Battery life is the hidden trade-off that often trips people up. Running the monitor at full brightness while recording eats through a mount battery in roughly 2 to 3 hours. If you're doing a half-day shoot, that's acceptable, but for an 8-hour documentary day, you'll need either a larger battery or a portable power bank. The bundle does include a power brick for AC operation, which works great for studio setups, but it's not a solution when you're on location without power outlets. So, think about your power strategy before you commit. The SSD that comes with the bundle is hot-plugged, which is a practical strength. I swapped it out mid-shoot to add more storage, and the system recognized the new drive instantly, no need to reboot or reformat. That flexibility is a real time saver when you're shooting events that run longer than you anticipated. However, the drive is a single 2.5-inch slot, so you're limited to whatever capacity you buy. If you're planning to shoot long-form content, budget for a higher capacity SSD and remember that the larger the drive, the more you'll need to manage file sizes. One practical weakness I ran into was the lack of a built-in headphone jack for monitoring audio. The Ninja TX records the video stream, but you still need a separate recorder or an external monitor to listen to the mic feed in real time. For a filmmaker who relies on perfect audio, that extra piece of gear adds a little friction. It's not a deal breaker, but it's something you have to plan around. Another point worth mentioning is the ergonomics of the mount. The standard 15mm rod clamp fits most rigs, but on smaller gimbals the monitor's weight can cause a bit of wobble if you don't balance it carefully. I found that adding a small counterweight to the gimbal's arm kept the system stable, which is a simple tweak but not something you'd know until you try it. If you're a handheld